You ever have to scratch the back of your head? Me either. So, we're gonna do kind of a, I don't want to say quick and dirty, but almost a stationary bird walk about my thoughts on the privileged and the unprepared. Now, I've had the privilege of working for a lot of people that are privileged. And I'm a yay capitalism guy. I don't begrudge anybody their ability or right to earn a living, or to earn 10 livings or 100 livings or a million livings. So, if you can do it, do it. What about ethical capitalism practices? Yeah, I mean, look, man, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. There are best practices for the business, best practices for the individual, and a lot of times what we get is a compromise that's generally more skewed towards the business. But understand that without business, we don't get to talk on the internet with iPhones, right? I don't get to drink hot coffee out of this thing. So, the vast majority of what we love and what we know goes away without business and capitalism. So, mini diatribe over the privileged. What do I mean by privileged? What do I mean is right now, if they wreck their car, without thinking, they could go down to the dealership and just get another car. And that's probably the lowest common denominator for privileged, okay? And again, I don't begrudge anybody anything. If you want to put your phone down right now, or hop up off your computer screen and go to the nearest Caterpillar dealer and buy a Cat 988 front end loader for, $1 million, and you can, good on you, man. That's awesome. But what I find when dealing with people like this, because again, I've spent the majority of my adult life interfacing with people like this because I wanted some of the money that they had in exchange for some of the services that I can provide. Yay, capitalism. But what I found is that mentality, we can always just go get another one, or it'll be okay. We'll just run down to the bank and get another, short-term line of credit or whatever, right? The business mindset and the privileged mindset is not the tribal mindset or the preparedness mindset. As Pastor Joe loves to say, do the best you can with what you've got where you're at. Okay, now if that means, let's just say hypothetically, using this as an impromptu example, if I had to figure out how to plant food with this rock rake, if I had to, I would figure it out. Because what's my prime motivator? Being able to feed myself and my family, right? The privileged would look at this and say, well, just buy a hoe, dummy. Or buy a rototiller, or buy a tractor with a rototiller on the back of it. Or buy a tractor with the rototiller on the back of it and then hire a crew of guys to plant for you. Okay. So, number one, let's look at our capital utilization here. I got $8 into that hoe, right? But we're going to throw a lot of labor at it. Or I could spend $100,000 on the tractor and a couple of guys to run it and plant. And might have $100,000 into it with very little labor, honestly. But consumables, lots of fuel. So you get my point here. It's kind of that mindset of, well, if we need it, we'll just get it. What if it's not there to get, right? That's the whole idea behind this preparedness thing. Whether you're preparing for a tornado that may or may not hit your house or the end of the world as we know it, the concept that there will always be more, I think, is going to go away. Scarcity breeds value. Value is reflected in price. Have you noticed food prices going up? That's because food, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, is becoming more scarce, right? Well, it's supply and demand, T. Yes, that's part of it too. But think about it. If you decrease the supply with the same amount of demand, the value goes up. Now, if you decrease supply and increase demand, the value goes way up. Basic economics. So, what if you can't just run to the store and buy something? Then what do? That's where I see the flaw in the privileged. The ability to buy your way out of a situation decreases your mental agility. You don't have to improvise, adapt, and overcome because you got an American Express Black Card. And I've been there. I've been that guy. We used to get, one of the companies that I worked for, in order to roll trucks onto a job site, we would get what was called a mobilization fee, or a MOB. And our MOB, just to put guys in trucks and send those trucks to where they needed to go, was millions, if not tens of millions of dollars, just to hop in trucks and leave and go to work. All right? If it was, hey boss, we need another rock rake. How much are they? Oh, they're $8 a piece. All right, here's $100, get 12. Why? Because they'll break, right? We'll need more of them. Just go get it. So I'm familiar with this mindset, right? This consumerism mindset. But I think it fails us in agrarian society, which is where I think we should be headed for SHTF. So what are the results of that? Okay. If and when something happens, the cognitive dissonance that will occur with, or occur to people, for people that are used to pulling out their Amex Black Card and swiping it for whatever they need and or want. Because let's be honest, all of our needs are met. If you're watching a video on YouTube right now, your needs are met. Maybe not your wants, but your needs are met, right? Mini tangents everywhere. But when that's no longer an option, and they haven't had to exercise this muscle and these muscles to get out of trouble, I can see very quickly somebody who is used to having things shake out their way by throwing money at it, turning pretty sour pretty quick when that's no longer an option. Now, I'm not talking about the global elites and the space baby ranger demons and the Illuminati and the Council on 4 and 300s. I'm not talking about them. Okay. I'm not even saying they exist. But if they did, they are not worried about us and SHTF because they have already bought their way out of this situation, right? In some cases, decades ago. Go read the report from Iron Mountain. Google that. The report from Iron Mountain. That should be a video for another time. Just comes to mind. It's a world of underground bunkers and tunnels. There's a whole underground infrastructure. I interviewed a truck driver that drove from DC to Aurora, Colorado, underground, never had to come out of ground one time. Report from Iron Mountain. Go read that. Especially in light of the fact that we are now establishing a space force. So those people, the global elites, I'm not worried about them. They're not worried about us. Okay. Their continuity of community is already established. What community they have. So I'm not talking about people who earn billions of dollars. Okay. I'm talking about people that earn 6 figures to millions of dollars that are used to purchasing their way out of problems. And their cognitive dissonance when their purchasing power doesn't account for anything, when it's all physical power, spiritual power, emotional power, and physical power. Those things that we should be working on now, that when, not if, but when the balloon goes up, when the time comes, we are practiced, we're level-headed, we're stoic, right? We're in line with the Father's will for us. Like, we already did all that hard stuff. Now it's just time to execute. So, the privileged and the unprepared, man. What happens after this cognitive dissonance occurs? Then you just get people behaving badly. People behaving badly. Well, what's that going to look like? It's going to look like a guy who's used to making $380K a year, who's got a Sig Sauer that he shot a couple of times at the range, doesn't know much about it, but he knows that his baby girl is starving. And he should have done something about it, but he hasn't. And so now, what's he going to do? He's going to go rove in his neighborhood until he finds a target of opportunity. He probably hasn't slept much himself. He's not used to sleeping much himself. He's probably not very comfortable. He's not used to being comfortable. He's got his wife chewing in one ear and out the other because she's not used to being uncomfortable. And I thought you were a man, and now this is happening. Where'd all the money go? And blah, blah, just spitting poison at him, hypothetically speaking, right? And so what's his prime motivator? He's going to go get some food. What tools does he have? He has a weapon. Where does he live? I'll tell you where he doesn't live. He does not live on the other side of that tree line. He probably lives somewhere near where you're watching this video, truth be told. Probably lives in one of the bedroom communities, the suburbs outside of a major city somewhere in the United States. Okay? Maybe he's in Rockland County, New York, or Westchester County, New York, right? Or Bergen County, New Jersey, or wherever. Collin County, Texas, or yeah, right? And that guy, and the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people like him everywhere else, will become people behaving badly. They will be the wild cards. And I'm going to tell you this as a guy who owns lots of body armor, lots of rifles, thousands of rounds of ammunition, has been shooting literally, almost 30 years. I've been operating firearms. That guy with his SIG, who has done very little practicing and shouldn't really pose a threat, doesn't matter. He could still take you off the chessboard, brother. He could still remove you from the battlefield, which is why population density is going to be one of the largest killers when something happens. Population density is a threat, which is why we say get out of the cities. Go watch that video. Which is why we say come out of her, my people, right? Pastor Joe says that, and we just robbed it from him, but that's okay. He robbed a bird walking from us, and we love him anyway. That's why you need to get away from where all of the people are and go to where some of the people are, so you can use some of those people to build a loose-knit community of like-minded individuals out here in the sticks. So when something happens and the privileged start behaving badly, it does not affect you. Because they're gonna, right? And I mean, we could go a whole nother direction with this. What about the privilege of having the federal government subsidize your existence? We see how well those people behave when things don't go their way. We're just talking about dog whistles yesterday with some of the brethren at Shofar. What's a dog whistle? I'll give you an example. Chicago. See, that's all I need to say. Chicago. So, something died around here. I can smell it. Look at this rooster back here. He's gonna baka-boodle-boo here in a hot minute, I bet. He's like, oh, you're trying to talk to internet people? Hold on while I destroy this for you. So, anyway, think about how well behaved people who are dependent on the system are now when things don't go their way. Add to that chaos the people who see themselves as above that or outside of that because of their income, right? Their power and their wealth, when they are cast into the same plane of existence as those people, circumstantially, it's going to be ugly. So I think the thing to understand here is it's going to be an incredibly large instance of people behaving badly. So what are our takeaways? How do we mitigate, right? What do we do? Okay. If you still live in the city, leave. Get out. Just do it. I know that's where the money is. That's where the jobs are. That's where they've got a great baseball team for my son. And bro, been there. Let's run this down, okay? Oh, well, I make more money living in the city. You have a higher cost of living, so get rid of that. That's where all the jobs are. No, people have jobs everywhere. And in fact, it's cheaper, much cheaper, to live out here on a piece of land than it is to live in the city. One small example, my water bill here, because we do have city water on that house, my water bill here last month was $26. 26. My water bill for the house that I live in 4 days a week in Texas, where I take showers, was $132 for the same month, okay? My power bill in Texas was $430, Collin County, Texas. The power bill here was $122, with air conditioners running in August, okay? So, I don't want to hear that argument. Well, that's where my family lives. Well, you and your family are people, not trees. Get up and leave. Oh, well, they have the best schools there in the city. Do they? Let me tell you something. I've been pleasantly surprised by the public schools here in Oklahoma. We have seriously thought about homeschooling. We've talked about it for years. We've never quite made it there because we don't have the bandwidth yet to homeschool our children. Depending on how things go here in the state of Oklahoma, we may not ever, because I've been very pleasantly surprised by the public schools here in Oklahoma. So get rid of that excuse. You have medical issues? Cool. I have 40% nerve damage in both of my hands. I've survived colon cancer at the age of 26. I've got bad knees. I've got 4 bad discs in my back, 2 bad discs in my neck. I've torn this rotator cuff twice and this one 3 times. I broke my sternal plate, which never healed right. And I've had more TBI, traumatic brain injury, literally than I can count. I've got 6 concussions in the space of 6 weeks at one point. And I work 14-hour days doing construction. So, okay, your body hurts. Mine too. Amen, brother. You can do it. Okay, we're old and frail and can't make it. Okay, number one, yes, you can. That's a mindset thing. Get rid of can't. Number 2, that's why you have tribe. Okay, that's why you have community. That's why you find like-minded people. And I know that's hard. I get it. We're doing the same. But it's not going to happen overnight. You have to build relationships. And then to build relationships, you have to get up in each other's business. You and the people you're trying to fall in love with, because that's what it is. Because you're not going to work your butt off to make sure that somebody doesn't starve to death unless you love them. And they're not going to do the same for you unless they love you. So in order to fall in love with each other, you got to get up in each other's business, which means you got to find people to get busy with now. Okay? So there's lots of excuses as to why people can't get out of the cities. Can't leave, but you should. Because you have feet, not roots. Get up and go. Now, next. If you're already in a highly populated area, leave, like we said. Okay? Population density is a huge threat. Come out of here, my people, and leave. The next thing you do to mitigate the privileged and unprepared is you build that community that we just talked about. The last thing that you do, if you are that privileged and unprepared person, realize it, identify the target, and say, okay, yeah, this is a problem. This isn't going to work. What are we going to do about this? Get out of the city. Start building tribe. If you have the money, and believe me, if you have the money, right now, the first thing you should do to get prepared is buy at least a year's worth of food for you, everybody in your family, and everybody you expect to come to your house or your land or your whatever if and when the balloon goes up. So if you have a family of 5, but you're expecting a total of 12 people on your property, you need a year's worth of food for 12 people. And I would go a step further and say 15 people, really, because the Father's going to bring you people. We talk about that all the time here. So the first thing you would do is buy a bunch of food, especially while you have that income. You're maximizing that income, right? That's why I still work in North Texas, because there's a huge disparity between Oklahoma cost of living and Texas pay scale. And we're going to exploit that for just as long as we can, because that means thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars in savings at the end of this year by me busting my hump and being away from my house working. But that money right now still has some value. I mean, it's fiat currency backed only by the good word of the federal government, but it still has purchasing power. Well, while your money has purchasing power, while you're earning a bunch of it right now, buy like literal tons of food, okay? And then if you want to buy some guns, but get training, plant a garden. I think calories are going to be... You're dead to me. See him? My sucker now. I think calories are going to be just as, if not more important than combat, come SHTF. So, if you are the privileged and unprepared right now, understand, hey man, I got to do something to fix this. What do I do? How do I fix this? Or if you're in some stage in between, just like absolute, just, you know, that chicken has got issues, man. If you're like absolutely numb to the ways of the world right now, and the light just switched on and you have no idea what you're gonna do, okay, chill. Buy a bunch of food, watch some of our videos, watch some of Pastor Joe's videos. But if you're somewhere in the middle, right? Oh, hey, good plug for Seth Denson and the Somewhere in the Middle podcast. If you're somewhere in the middle, which most of us are, right? That's where I am. I have more than what I absolutely need to get by, but I don't have near as much as what I would like to have to get by. If you're somewhere in the middle, just keep going. Keep identifying targets and keep hitting targets. But absolutely err on the side of food. I would rather have 10,000 pounds of food and 1,000 rounds of ammo than 10,000 rounds of ammo and 1,000 pounds of food. I'd rather have 1,000 pounds of food and 50 rounds of ammo than to have 1,000 rounds of ammo and 50 pounds of food. Not kidding. Get off of there, dum-dum. So, the privileged and unprepared. Look for that cognitive dissonance. People are not gonna be able to take it. And I think a lot of people are gonna opt out. I think when it gets hard, a lot of people are gonna opt out because so many people have built their life around how comfortable can I make things for myself and my family. And when things get uncomfortable, they're gonna get unalive. So, there's a nice little bird walk for you. Only took 24 minutes to flesh out some of these thoughts. So, shalom and blessings, y'all. Hope you liked this video. We'll talk soon.